Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll just give a couple more minutes as we see attendees arrive. Okay, I think the number has reached a steady state now, so we can get started. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is part of our Citrix Ready Technical Webinar series, where we showcase our partners' products with Citrix and showcase the joint solution that we have and how can customers benefit. In today's webinar, the topic is how Citrix and HP together empower your workforce and increase your end user productivity. Along with me, I have Christopher Fries. He is the manager at managing the retail sales at HP, and myself, Sagnik Datta. I am the host and also the presenter for today's webinar. I am technical marketing. Managing the desktop ecosystem, so working with our partners like HP and so forth. Um, so I'll give you a quick hygiene check. So for question and answers, you have the right-hand side. You can reach our question, ask us, and we will take it forward at the end at the Q&A time. And this webinar is being recorded. Within 1 to 2 business days, you should be getting the recording as well as the slides on your registered email ID. Next slide, please. Introducing you to Citrix Ready. We are the #1 source to evaluate verified partner products for you to make better purchase decision when choosing a third-party product or solution. So we categorize with different categories, applications. It could be endpoints, converged infrastructure, servers, printer scanners, and so forth. And if you are interested to join us as a partner, feel free to click on the second link, which is partner program / Citrix Ready on our .com slide. I will walk you to the next. So I'll just introduce you, next slide, please, to what we're doing in 2018. And we're very excited about how our products and portfolio is changing from Citrix perspective. And we have devoted to make it easy for you to experience our solutions. So one thing that we have done is consolidate our offerings into Citrix Workspace, Citrix Networking, and Citrix Analytics. And in some cases, the product names will change to fit our vision of the product roadmap. And you have heard of Zen Desktops and Apps, so that's for now being called Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops, and so forth. Citrix Workspace app is not just a new name; it's a new universal application for all the workspace services that's going to be the entry door to experience all the Citrix services and capabilities that we are going to build over time. So just to give you a brief explanation of how the evolution been, if you could take me to the next slide, please, of how the end user experience has been over the past years. Once upon a time, we had this green bubble UI, which was meant to give you a self-service store experience. This was a static XPR UI, and but essentially the requirement was to give you App Store kind of an experience where you can access your application and desktop together from anywhere. Then, we had until recently, we had the Receiver X1, which was meant to deliver a consistent experience cross-platform, whether you're accessing from an endpoint, which could be a tablet or from desktop or from the web, you get a consistent experience, which is also customizable. And today, we have applications that can be coming from anywhere. Like it could be hosted on any cloud, whether on-prem or on private cloud or public cloud, and accessible from any device and over any network. It could be whether inside a LAN with secure network or from something like an airport or a coffee shop Wi-Fi where it's not secure. And that brings complexity to the whole experience, right? So cloud transformation has become a ordeal for our IT admins. So if you could take me to the next slide. The expectation from the end user is to get a consistent experience, and choice. And from the IT admin, the expectation is to deliver the application with as per their just choice. So, for example, for an end user can access let's say his application, for example, SAP and Salesforce, and he signs on, he has a single sign-on when he's inside the network. But let's say he's accessing from somewhere or not secure network, say coffee shop, he should be getting a two-factor authentication or something like that. So IT admin has this kind of policies that needs to be controlled network, and this could be user, and this has become a messy world. So back how we saw cloud transformation, and many of our organizations like us targeted cloud transformation, is basically lift whatever we used to do it in on-prem and push it on the cloud. But that's not so straightforward, right? Like some of the Linux applications you can't move on the cloud. Maybe from business critical applications, you would not want to move it to the cloud. You'd want to have it in on-prem, and you'd want to access it with all the cache and so forth, which is more easier for you to access. Whereas something like a Workday or SAP or Box, you'd want to access it from, you have no choice but to access it. These are SaaS applications that you would want to access from the public cloud and so forth. So how do you deal with such a complex environment? It's not simple, which is what the problem statements that Citrix tries to solve. Next slide. So Citrix sees this as an interesting problem to solve from the user perspective, and how we are able to do that is through a very user-centered architecture, which is context-aware and intelligent. So we are able to deliver you the digital workspace to wherever you are and adapt to what you want to do. And so you can access any application, could be a Windows application, Linux application, and you could access it from any location, on-prem or from cloud, and from any device. Like you would be able to access it from a mobile application or from a mobile thin client or a thin client and so forth. And an IT admin has to ensure you get the right experience, and you and not make you push you to have only access it from certain devices. So you have to have a choice of devices that you want to use, and the only way we are able to do that is through the secure digital perimeter that is always revolving around the user. If you click on the next, please. So that's the secure digital perimeter that Citrix offers through our framework, and how end user is able to access these applications is through introducing Citrix Workspace app. Next slide, please. And yes, so this is going to be a true single pane of glass for an enterprise application portfolio. So you're going to experience virtual applications, virtual desktops, access SaaS application, web application, mobile apps, and content through a single window. And from product perspective, if you hit once, you will be see like how do we see this is from HDX engine. So this is something that is already in backward compatible in Citrix receiver, which is used to deliver virtual application and desktop. Then you have browser engine introduced in Citrix Workspace app that is going to help you access SaaS application and web app, give you a native like experience. And we have files plugin, which is to access your content first, like Citrix share file, to get all the upload and download files and access data from the same window. And also it's mobile aware, so you can access mobile apps, which is delivered either on any location, on-prem or on the cloud. So next slide. And all this, we are able to do it through Citrix Workspace. One thing that we actually tried to, when we tried to build this whole Citrix Workspace experience, was to give you a consistent experience over any tablet, any device, and that means if you could see, we ensure that it's contextually aware, so you can be accessing it from any location, and you get this same experience. You have the apps column at the top, and then you have the desktop column, and then you have the files that you can access from. So to give you walk you through the desktop workspace experience, I'll just click on one more time, please. Yes, so what we are essentially doing is giving you a recent tab and a favorite tab for application, desktop, and files. So this is going to be the UI that we have completely redesigned. And one thing that this ensures you do is, from the application perspective, you are not you're also accessing SaaS applications, and the virtual applications are all coming together in one single window. So from an end user, you would not care whether Workday is being launched from a Zen app, or is it being giving you a native like experience. We are able to, IT admin is able to control from behind to ensure the experience that is needed for you. So now we are able to containerize these SaaS applications. That allows us to actually do a lot of things with SaaS application. For example, you get the native experience. So like an IT admin can block certain URLs. In certain cases where you'd want to segregate the network traffic, like for example, you're using, let's say, personal website, web URL, like maybe Facebook, Twitter, and you don't want it to mix with your enterprise network. So that could be delivered through a secure browser, which is sitting on Citrix Cloud. So, and that will be using a separate network altogether, and thus segregating, helping you segregate better. And also, once we containerize, we can do other cool stuff like watermark on SaaS applications. So we can do, we could be more, we can determine the risk profile. We could do some analytics of usage of SaaS applications. We could determine the risk profile usage of an user. Maybe it's a there is somebody who is malicious user is trying to sign in, and he has single sign. If by single sign on, he's already inside the network, and after that, anything that he does, it would be undeterred if admin has no control. So if he has a separate browser, he can go ahead and do that, and admin could not see it. But once he's inside a workspace app experience and he's able, all these things is containerized, an admin has a better control and he can block certain URLs and so forth. So this is essentially the piece that the meat that Citrix Workspace app offers. And also, of course, it's mobile aware. I will now hand next slide, talk about like how HP and Citrix comes together here. HP provides these ultra powerful thin clients that has preloaded Citrix receiver, and now going to be workspace and coming 20 in by Q3 end. Citrix is promising to give you the workspace app to test it in-house. So we have already the early release build in place, and HP thin clients have this inbuilt in their firmware. So we have been with relationship with HP for over 15 years now, and more than half of all these app deployments utilize HP thin clients. And Christopher Fries has been a veteran for all her 15 years, and HP worked with HP for 22 years now. Like just a cool fact, like and I was reading a report in 2003. We are talking about time when like Citrix and HP started collaboration was during the time when Starbucks did not even have a Wi-Fi setup. So for all you coffee lovers who like to take their work to coffee shop, you did not have a scope to work. And HP actually helped Starbucks along with the network to set up the Wi-Fi and under the whole Starbucks experience. And and now if you come back now, like if you're now taking your work to coffee shop is just the next, it's just a normal thing, thanks to Citrix and HP, of course. We allow you to access your application securely. So yeah, with that, Christopher, please take it over.
Thank you, Sagnit, and thanks for making me feel a little bit older, being around for as long as I have. Appreciate that. Well, welcome all, and welcome from a beautiful, sunny, hot, muggy day here in Houston. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. Over the next little bit, I want to kind of walk you through some of HP's design principles, what's sort of leading us, and introduce you to the thin client portfolio. Let me start by saying that the Citrix HP relationship partnership is both been longstanding and very productive. And one of the points that I always I try to make around this partnership is it's not always in what you see from each individual organization, but sometimes it's what you don't see from an individual organization, and that is, the close collaboration of our roadmaps and our investments in technology, where we're not investing in the same areas trying to solve the same problem, spending dollars on both organizations. So the end result is that we get our customer set, the Citrix HP customer set, to an end goal faster by understanding, collaborating on our investment portfolios and working on technologies, we're not overlapping work. So, I'll introduce you to some of those proof points of that, as we go through the work here. But again, it's been a very productive and long-standing relationship, and continues to yield results for our customer set. So, I'm going to start you off with the obvious statement, right? Our physical workspace is changing along with our demographics and our user expectations. And to my earlier point, you can see as Citrix continues to federate the applications and data and control the access in essentially improve the virtual workspace, the virtual world that we work in. The truth is there are trends, mega trends that are impacting the physical world that we operate in. So our expectations and requirements of our physical space are changing, and we must adapt to those changes as well. And one of our challenges is, of course, understand or guessing where those changes will be and what the end game looks like at any point in time. And for those of you that might be hockey players, that you skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it is. If you're where it is, it's probably already past you. And so, how do you know where that puck's going to be? You can't predict the future, but there are some global socio-economic technological trends that act as sort of lighthouses for us, that sort of point to you should be on this piece of ice at this time. And so we at HP spend a lot of time through our Office of Innovation studying those trends, and they become part of the design of future products. So a couple of those that I think are very relevant to that problem statement of around the changing workplace is this rapid urbanization, and so the number of mega cities that exist will quadruple, and by the year 2030, those being cities over 10 million users, and so those will represent markets in and of themselves, those mega cities. And so there's this move back in, and that presents challenges around space, power, other infrastructure, those sorts of things. The workforce demographic is changing significantly. We put a lot of attention to the incoming millennial workforce. At the upper end of that, there will be twice as many workers over the age 65 in the workplace in the coming years, and so that has an impact on the physical devices, right, that we operate with, and so we have to design for an evolving workforce and be able to satisfy the diverse workforce that we have today. And then the hyper globalization, which we've all lived with. It's that and the acceleration of innovation is really. You can look at the S&P list, the 500 list, and you see a lot of companies that have been there for a long time are no longer there. It's any product is available at any time from any part of the world, and so we have to keep pace with that. So some of those trends then that we were again that we pay attention to impact the workforce itself. So how do we manage that workforce? And you can see it in HR metrics that are becoming very common around core KPIs for employee experience, employee satisfaction, right? As some of the labor markets reach some of the lowest unemployment rates in decades, employees can become more discriminating, right? They can they can demand certain technologies, and it's informed by the types of technologies they experience in their home space. And so we need to be able to work with that. The workplace itself, we talked about the urbanization. We've done a considerable amount of work with some major global companies in the cost of a square foot of office space and the availability of that square foot. There's less space, and then our work styles themselves are changing such that where we used to have dedicated offices, now the work force is requesting more collaborative workspaces, untethered workspaces, so that they can move between their different work styles. And so we're trying to design to address each one of those. And I'll pause here with just a quick quote from Alan Kay. If you don't know Alan Kay, he was a computer scientist back in the 40s. Was a recipient of one of the highest honors in computer science, but he also was a distinguished fellow on with HP. But again, best way to predict the future is to invent it, and that's part of getting to that piece of ice where the puck is going to be. And so let me take it down a notch from kind of these design objectives and into the thin client world, the thin solutions world, and back to that changing workplace. What HP is trying to do here is enable that change rather than inhibit it, and actually reduce the friction of that change with the thin client technology. And so how does that technology apply at a higher level, at a business results level? The architecture itself is inherently more secure, obviously, right? As you move your assets out of the workplace and back into a data center. A little bit about me: I was before I joined some of the reseller community, I was in the U.S. Navy. I was in crypto. And one of those things they used to beat in our heads early on was if you don't have the asset behind lock and key, then you don't really own the asset. So the ability to take those vulnerable assets, the data, the customer information that you have out of this workplace and put it back into a central location where you can have it behind lock and key is desirable. The ability to manage those devices, the workplaces, as Sagnet described, there's a tremendous amount of data, information, applications, and to be able to get those centralized to some degree and separate from your perimeter, your workplace itself, lends itself to manageability, to improvements in manageability. And then you'll see HP's taking a leadership role in defining the manageability of those devices, and these enterprises today ending up with tens or hundreds of thousands of devices, thousands of miles apart at the ends of wires, and mobile, and they're in homes and public locations. And so the ability to manage those in a secure fashion is a focus from HP. Part of the cost of ownership promise of the virtual architectures, rely in the ability to take remove service incidents from the workplace itself. I don't know. I did some studies a few years back. I know it doesn't apply to every enterprise, but the industry average is about $283 to visit a desk side And so the fewer visits that you might have, the the more impact that you would have on that total cost of ownership. So taking devices, the workplace devices, and hardening them in a solid state, low power fashion, with quality design, can significantly reduce the number of visits required out into the workplace itself. I spent a good bit of time working with a number of major global enterprises around their green or sustainability um, programs. I just mentioned this quickly because the easy thing and the common thing to go to is the power consumption. Thin clients are significantly lower power consumption than our distributed desktops. But really, if you look at the carbon footprint of the architecture, consider things about weight and size, the amount of raw material that comes out of the earth that gets manufactured, that then gets packaged and shipped and warehoused, and the longer life cycles equate to less e-waste that cost money. And so the carbon footprint can be significantly smaller. And I suggest that enterprises work with those organizations that run those programs as a potential revenue, IT revenue uptake that may not have been available in the past. So let me just introduce you quickly to the thin client portfolio. I'll say up front that it is a comprehensive portfolio. We have put together leading form factors and performance. The beauty of a thin client is they are purpose built, and so you need to have a complete portfolio to address. What you can expect from HP is that regardless of what your use case is, or the use cases in your enterprise, is that HP will have a thin client that will be optimized for that use case. And so I start the portfolio with a look at software, because one of the things we understood many years ago about remote computing was, of course, that unlike distributed desktops, you can't always resolve the problem by throwing more hardware at it. So the nature of remote and the dependencies on experience on the network are significant, and they can't be overlooked. So HP, I consider ourselves, and if you look at our engineering investments, we are a software company that recognizes revenue through hardware. Probably an easy way to say it. So you'll see a tremendous amount of innovation coming from HP thin client solutions in the software aspect, and I will walk us through each one of these, but you'll see a comprehensive software value add portfolio, everything from management to experiential to operating systems. So I may start with HP Device Manager. As Sagnet said, we've been in this business as a dedicated business unit for some decades now, and our customers are deploying tens to hundreds of thousands of these devices. We have tried many routes and have had varying degrees of success of using a distributed desktop type management console. I think Nirvana is to get to a single management console that manages all devices. And I think reality is, there's your mobile management, and then there's your fixed management. Well, thin clients offer in their value stack a good bit of benefit around the integrity of the operating system and the firmware. And in order to do that, we've got tools like HP Write Manager, which is a tool similar to Microsoft's Write filters. And so the management consoles need to be aware of these utilities that sit underneath that maintain the integrity of the device itself, which is part of the benefit of hardening that perimeter. So Device Manager is a purpose-built thin client management software package. It is an enterprise class. It's highly scalable. We've got a number of reference architectures that design. It is cloud ready, so you can see in some of the reference architectures how to optimize the architecture so that it can take advantage of the cloud without always paying the performance tax of what commonly comes with cloud. So another comment that I'll make is we've spent a good bit of time around managing the amount of information. We've got individuals in enterprises that a single individual is managing 70,000+ devices from a single location. You can imagine the amount of information that's required to do that, and so the effective use of the screen space, the display space, that real estate, how that information gets grouped, customized, geographical or user type or task-based, or whatever that is. We've spent a tremendous amount of time in working with that user interface to make that limited real estate, screen real estate, most effective for those large management opportunities or tasks, I should say. Another piece of software from HP is HP Velocity. This is a network optimization or quality of service piece of software. It's a point-to-point piece of software. A small client runs on the thin client itself and a service at the terminating location. It monitors the connection real time, and using a number of algorithms, it adapts to latency, lost packets, Wi-Fi contention, those sorts of typical problems when we go untethered or distribute from branch offices to home offices and things like that. The Velocity can have a significant experience improvement for the end user. True Graphics is something that we worked with Citrix on some years back to take advantage of their of the H.264 stream. It was a combined effort between Citrix, HP, and in the early days with AMD. It's our ability to offload the video decoding to hardware on the thin client itself. And why is that important? Because in today's world, unified communications is table stakes, right? If you don't have it in place today, you will. And so to run those video streams and the audio and the other tasks, business tasks that you're trying to accomplish, without this type of technology, you tend to start to reach the limits of the processor that's of the CPU itself. And so True Graphics is an integral part. It also works with any other 264 type protocol. Easy Shell, while on the Windows side, the HP thin clients are shipping with Windows IoT, the Internet of Things version, and it's a more controlled version, a longer life to it than what you would get with the Win Pro. However, like with Windows and like with any other software, the more feature rich it is, the more complex it can be, and there are a significant amount of user settings on the box itself, within the operating system. So HP Thin Client Solutions created Easy Shell, which is a GUI that sits on top of the Windows, allows you to remotely, again through HP Device Manager, manage that user experience. So you can publish or present only applications that user should be using. You can whitelist and blacklist. You can, in effect, you can simplify their the user experience, everything from login to the types of applications and data that they need access to on a regular basis, and minimize the user self-inflicted type problems. I mean, how many times do we sit on the help desk, and which I sat there for a number of years, and kind of the first question that you would ask is, well, what have you done recently? What have you done that might have caused this problem? So this helps simplify that experience for them. I'd also like to introduce you to our latest generation of HP ThinPro. This is our Linux-based operating system. We've been developing ThinPro for a number of years now. I think we acquired the initial development group back in 2003, somewhere 2007, something like that. So it's a very mature operating system. It's a 64-bit Linux operating system to match the current architectures of processors, SoCs, APUs, and ThinPro 7 is it's a modern user experience. And again, back to the changing demographics in the workplace, users don't want to see, as Sagnet said, the green bubble experience, the fragmented step-by-step kind of data that gets presented. So you'd see in ThinPro 7 a very intuitive and familiar startup wizard to get you going. It's got what you would expect in modern operating systems. It's got a very embedded, very intelligent search, built-in search effort, so that you can quickly find what you're looking for. And again, it presents in a common, modern, familiar type appearance, so easy to manage. So we're very proud of it. We announced it at Citrix Synergy this year, and excited, looking forward to you guys getting an opportunity to work with it. As part of the ThinPro technology, HP set out to address the zero client or the zero management profile challenge. There were traditionally zero clients were purpose built, which was a bit of a challenge, right? They operated only in a single environment. The problem was that there was no static enterprise. There were mergers and acquisitions and partnerships and outsourcing contracts and whatnot. So Smart Zero technology is allows us, using the ThinPro operating system, to reduce the footprint of that to such a small piece of code that the device itself really just has enough code to, when it comes onto the network, it looks for a host, it finds a host, and that host recognizes the device and sends its personality to it. So it would send its Citrix personality to it, which would allow it to get into the Citrix architecture. And then when that when that user logs off of that device is shut down, that personality is removed, and it's back to a clear state. So without residual data and user information on it. So what it gave us the opportunity to do was to free up the limitations of that zero client in terms of format. So now you could put zero client, you could turn a mobile thin client, or if you need 2 displays or 4 displays, or depending on what your hardware requirements are, you could make any of those form factors a zero client experience in terms of management profile. So let me just walk you through real quickly the desktop thin clients. I'll start with the T430. This was another box that we just introduced at Citrix Synergy. It's a tremendous amount of performance in a very small box. It's a little over 1 liter in volume. It packs a lot of punch into that small space. It's a dual core Intel processor, up to 2.6 gigahertz, I believe. What is unique about this box, and back to that changing workforce and the reduction in workspace, the HP T430 thin client is the world's first thin client that is powered and audio video over USB-C. So a single cable really cleans up the desk space on that. Again, at Synergy, we had a really nice presentation. Got a lot of comments around putting a wireless mouse and keyboard on that, and the workspace just really cleaned up. Hugely important when you're really constrained in that area. Moving up to the T530. Now, something to mention about the 430. The 430 has limited configurations, expandability. Everything that's on the box, the memory and the SSDs that are in there are soldered in place. So you would get a couple of configurations available to you, and then they're not upgradable in the field. For those that have that requirement, the T530 is the next step in that chain. The 530, you'll notice, has the same design ID as the 430. That's part of our redesign and matching the current modernization of the workforce itself, the workplace itself. So you'll see a sleek, modern design on the box. The 530 is also a dual core processor. Again, a lot of performance in a small box. Now, the 530 does allow you to upgrade its memory and SSD, its storage, fixed storage. Also gives you some additional IO ports on it. So the 530 you'll see in a lot of locations, in call centers, sort of the workhorse of the portfolio. Moving up to the 630, the 630 is a step up in terms of configuration flexibility. So the 630, again, a tremendous amount of choice in RAM and flash configurations. The 630 also supports dual flash, so you can have two storage devices in it. You'll find innovations like a USB port inside the box itself when you think about security. So there are times where you might have a USB stick for some reason running an application or Wi-Fi or whatever, and you don't want that to walk away, so you put it inside the device itself and then secure the cover on the box. I would say that the majority of our shipments go out on the 630 primarily because of its flexibility and configurations. When you put these boxes out there and you expect these boxes to last many years in place because of the low power solid state quality design on them, you need to be able to upgrade the boxes or upfit the boxes with your changing environment. So the 630 allows you to do that. And then we'll go up to the 730. Now 730, I affectionately call it our chubby client. It's a little bit larger, and the reason for that is we had users that were in wealth management, some of the trading floors, that were in Department of Defense, that were trying to manage theaters of operations, and they needed lots of display real estate. So so we designed the T730 to give a workstation type performance in a remote environment. So the T730 can support up to 6 displays with an optional AMD FirePro card in it. So where you needed to maximize your glass real estate, the 730 was the solution for that. So so I hope you can see that on the desk-based portfolio, we've got a very broad range of use cases covered in there. But look, we talked about the changing workplace and the changing demographic and the work styles people just don't stay in one place anymore. They move. The groups gather and break up and form new groups, and so it's paramount that the device itself be able to support that. And so we also have a line of mobile thin clients, which a lot of major global enterprises are adopting as sort of the standard for their access devices. I'll start you with the MT21. It's a simple delineation in my mind. The MT21 here in Houston at the HP facility, we've got some a little less than 3,000 employees at the location that I'm in. And we spend a tremendous amount of time moving from conference room to conference room, desk to desk, meeting to meeting. That's what the MT21 is for. It's for the campus, untethered workforce, and again, to support those collaborative work styles. So the MT21 is an excellent choice for that, and I differentiate that from the MT44 in that the MT44 is the road warrior with wireless WAN. It's designed for those companies that take your brand to your customers. So where you sit down in front of your customers, you need to convey the message that you are, that you are innovative, that you are cutting edge, that that your workforce is like your image, your brand itself is modern. And so the MT44 has the HP Elite look and feel, but more than that, inside the box, it's you'll see technologies like Secure View, which is a technology allows you to at the click of a button to reduce the viewing angle of the display itself. The majority of data breaches are actual visual data breaches. So somebody sitting next to you on an airplane or in a coffee shop someplace. So you'll see that, but the 44, because it's designed to take out to your customer set, is a mobile collaboration platform. So you'll see the keyboard has built-in unified communication hotkeys to quickly, single keystroke, start a meeting, close a meeting. It's got noise cancellation. It's got Bang Olufsen audio. So this device is really designed to allow you to take your brand out to your customer set up your meetings, present your image effectively. So again, a couple of different choices there in the mobile platforms. I want to leave you with just a quick look at a little innovation timeline. Again, I mentioned earlier that this is not a side business for HP. We're a dedicated business unit within the organization, have been for a very long time. We pride ourselves on being firsts, world's firsts, with our technologies and business solutions. And you'll see along the timeline, some of these are pretty old. I would imagine that much of the audience might not recognize some of these, but you'll see things like our first native 4K quad head displays. You'll see the T430 there at the top. Was the world's first single USB-C power audio video. The Smart Zero technology that's in there, we were first with the mobile thin client. So a number of innovations, and we're pretty proud of that, and we endeavor to continue working to bring you solutions that help you solve your or achieve your own business results. So I will hold us at here, and I think we've covered our Citrix HP partnership, the benefits of the Citrix Ready program, and I think if we've got any questions on that, we can certainly go to that. So, Sagnik, I'll pause here, and we can open it up for questions and answers.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Great presentation. I have a lot of questions here, so I'll just quickly ask you through, and we could you can take it forward. So like, I have. So how does HP plan on incorporating Citrix Workspace into their thin clients? Do you want to make a quick comment on that?
Yeah, so today you'll see that the Citrix receivers are embedded in the images across the thin clients. So out of the box, we are simple to set up and simple to integrate into the environment. And then you saw we talked about some of the technologies like True Graphics that address the experiential portion of it. Again, the design for the HP Thin clients is that they are fully functional, out of the box. All of the value add software and the integration with Citrix that we talked about come part and parcel with the thin clients. You won't find us charging you maintenance fees and you get this box, but if you want to if you want to improve your experience in Citrix, you have to purchase this product. It's all inclusive in the boxes. Good question, Agnes.
Perfect. Perfect. And just to add on that, these list once this product will be verified with Citrix Workspace app, it will be hosted in a marketplace. So you could just search for the Citrix compatibility and get the list of HP products that are made compatible already. Um, the next question is: are there any target industries that thin clients are trying to break into?
Trying to break into, that's an excellent question. I had a customer in here yesterday that I was meeting with that was in financial services in the insurance business, and I showed them a product mix or an industry mix from an HP thin client point of view, and it's very well balanced across industry for various reasons, right? Healthcare is very much interested in improving clinical workflow and meeting their HIPAA requirements here in the U.S. Financial services very much interested in securing their information, but also improving the speed of their wealth management transactions. Manufacturing, of course, is looking for more durable devices, that can operate in broader operating temperatures, maybe with airborne debris, things like that. The U.S. federal government very much interested in the security nature of it. So the boxes that have integrated TPM chipsets, smart cards, those additional security features. So it's a very well balanced across all industries for various reasons. I would say that the sort of the deviation from virtualization that we're seeing a significant amount about our movement in is around what I would call adjacent use cases for thin. When you think about the thin value prop of being being a small operating system, small footprint, low power, very low heat dissipation, and that fits in opportunities or areas like digital signage or kiosks. There's a good bit of those things that are coming up now that are a little bit different use cases for the thin technologies.
Thank you. And there's a connected question, like from HP portfolio standpoint, RAN is asking, what are the best HP thin client devices available for a Windows 10 on Zen server with NVIDIA Tesla cards that support Zen desktop? Do you want to make a quick comment on there?
I missed the last part of that. Was there a specific card that needed to be in there, or is that on the server side?
Yes. So there's on the server side, I think what Ryan is asking is about SGX 3D Pro setup.
Okay.
What is the top client you'd recommend?
Yes, yeah, no, it's an excellent question, and that's the reason that the portfolio is so broad, and we talked about some purpose-built devices. So So in that environment, you've got a lot of horsepower required to deliver that kind of the 3D Pro. So you're really talking about the T630 in that space, or if you need more displays than the the T630 delivers, then the T730 has that kind of horsepower to deliver that, and the technologies, the video technologies to optimize that experience.
Yeah, and just to add on that, like T430 as well can give you the experience. Like just that you may not have the support of 4 monitors. That's not the purpose built, but it has the ability to give you the CAD application delivery. So it's HP thin clients are vast when it comes to from performance delivery standpoint. So I just wanted to make a quick note there. Um, there's another question on what are some ways HP thin clients differentiate from your competitors. Do you want to make a comment there?
Yeah, let me just how to best answer that because it varies by competitor, but I'll tell you just some of the DNA or design principles from the HP thin client or thin solutions team. Really, one of those that I think is a distinguishing feature is the attitude that the box itself, when you buy an HP thin client, that it should be fully functional out of the box, and so that all technologies that are available on that platform should come with that platform, and that there shouldn't be a here's the price for the box, but oh, if you want this, it'll cost you more. Or if you want to add this, it'll cost you more. If you want to, if you want to maintain that, it'll cost you more. And so I think you'll see that when you buy the HP thin client, we work on the purchase decision aspect, which is all of the technologies that are available on the platform come with the platform. So that is one of the design principles. We also again, to the point that I made early on, was you can't always throw more hardware at it. So you will see that HP, generally speaking, is a leader. You'll find the latest generation of architectures, processor architectures, memory technologies, SSD technologies will be available on our platforms. We pride ourselves on making sure that we have the latest generations in there, but also it's the combination of that hardware and software. So technologies like Velocity and True Graphics, Easy Shell, that combine the power of that that combined power of the hardware and software. That is a distinguishing feature of the HP thin clients, and it's something that should be considered when you look at when you've got the decision between HP and some other choices.
This is great. I mean, we have more questions, but unfortunately, we'll not be able to take them due to the shortage of time. But I really want to take this opportunity and thank Chris for being able to give us this glimpse of the HP world and how it will help our customers for different use cases. So thank you for sharing your knowledge, Chris, with us, and appreciate your time. And also, last but not least, thank you, audience, for being here with us, for sticking to us. And this shall conclude our broadcast. Thank you.
Thank you.